Hi, welcome to Hoops Junction. Vladimir here. Today we're talking about the Golden State Warriors and the Cleveland Cavaliers. And the number one question is that everybody's asking, are the Warriors and the Cavaliers just too good for the NBA? And initially people say yes. They're like, just watching a couple of games a couple of nights ago where the Warriors blew out a team they blew out the Lakers by 43 points. They blew us out by 43. And the Cleveland Cavaliers scored 80 points in a half. And they blew out it wasn't such a blowout, actually. They beat them by like 13 or 14 points. It was like 137, 124, something like that. They beat the Portland Trailblazers. And everybody's saying, like, wait a minute, hold up. These guys are just way too good. The Warriors scored 80 points in a half. Cleveland Cavaliers scored 81 points in a half. Kevin Love went for 34 points in a quarter. And for the Warriors, they had three players in double figures. Curry had 31, Durant had 28, Clay had 26. Everybody's just like, these teams are just way too good. And when you initially look at things like that, that's what you're thinking. Like, yeah, they're way too good. Yeah, they're way too good. But honestly speaking, both of those teams are not way too good. They're head and shoulders, like, personnel-wise, they're better. And mentality-wise, they may be a lot better. But when the game isn't played on paper, it's not played based on personnel, it's played on the court. And honestly speaking, they're not too good for the NBA. Okay? The Golden State Warriors have lost 2 games. The Cavaliers, I think, have lost 2 games. So they're not perfect. That being said, the Clippers have the best record in the league. So just based on record-wise, Clippers are like number one. Even though like we're not thinking about other things like personnel and the things like that, but they're not too good. It's just people don't understand the circumstance of playing in the NBA and what it entails and what that means. So basically, Warriors caught the Los Angeles Lakers on a back-to-back. And the Warriors, I don't think they have played a back-to-back. They played Wednesday, they played Friday, and then I think their game had to be, they played Wednesday. They had like a low layover because of travel. But the Lakers, they had played the night before. So they were beat up and tired. Same thing with the Portland Trailblazers. The Portland Trailblazers had played the night before at the Knicks. So they were tired as well. And that's part of the article I wrote on hoopsjunction.com, where I said back-to-backs are killing the NBA. Because if you notice, some of these teams, they're winning, and they're winning big. And then when they lose big. Like when the Warriors lost to the Lakers by 20, it's because they were coming off a back-to-back, and they just were uninspired. And that's what's going around all throughout the league. You're gonna win some games, but then you're gonna hit a stretch where if it's a back-to-back, you just don't have enough energy. And that's part of the TV deals. That's part of the demand. That's part of the NBA trying to spread their global agenda to make the game more globalized. If any given night, you could catch 3-4 NBA games on ESPN, ESPN2, TNT, TV. You catch it on NBA TV, and then League Pass, and then Direct TV. So they're trying to make it where it's sort of like the NFL almost, with the TV contracts and everything. And that's good for fans who want to see more basketball, but it's awful for the quality of the game. So think about this. Cavaliers and the Warriors caught 2 teams coming off of back-to-backs. All right, that's number 1. Number 2, Warriors and Portland Trailblazers are the worst defensive teams in the NBA, okay? They're the worst defensive teams in the NBA. I think the Lakers are ranked 28th, and the Portland Trailblazers are like 26th or something. So basically, the Lakers and the Portland Trailblazers, they try to outscore you. And both nights, they ran into teams that they can't outscore. You're not going to outscore. If you have Damian Lillard, CJ McCollum, and then you have to go up against Kyrie Irving, LeBron James, and Kevin Love, you're not going to outscore them. And then for the Lakers, if you're going to play the Golden State Warriors without D'Angelo Russell, and you have Swaggy P's like your number 1 scoring option, you're not going to outscore Kevin Durant, Klay Thompson, Stephen Curry, Draymond Green. You're not going to outscore them. So basically, what occurred on both of those nights, on the same night, simultaneously, is this. Both teams are coming off of back-to-backs. They're both tired. Both teams are, this year, horrendous on defense. So they're going to give up a lot of points. That's why they both gave up 80-something points, 80 points in the first half to each team. So it's not a question of if both teams are too good, because they're not scoring 80 points a half every night, okay? The Warriors have had close games. They have a ton of close games where they've been able to pull it out. Same thing with the Cavaliers. The Cavaliers have had games where they were up by 20, and then all of a sudden, the game's almost tie game. I was watching the Celtics game the other day, and the Cavaliers were dominant. They had a 20-point lead, and then the third quarter gave it all up. And the Cavaliers have the propensity to do that. They do that a lot. Same thing with the Warriors. The Warriors had a bunch of 20-point leads and then blew them. And this is all this season. These teams are just, they're not like they're too good. It's just the simple fact that they're playing teams that are undermanned or undermatched, or teams that are coming off of back-to-backs. And the same thing can happen to them. Warriors have had that already happen to them when they lost by 20. Cavaliers have already lost a game, and they sat LeBron James, and it's only like 15 games in. So when they sat him against the Pacers. So these teams, it's not like they're just too good for the regular season. It's just that they catch teams in awkward positions. You got to understand, the Warriors have been together for 2 straight years, and then now this is their adjusting period. Cavaliers have been together 3 straight years, so they kind of know what they want to do. Warriors are still kind of figuring out, but in the West, they're a lot better than most teams. Like, the Spurs are still transitioning. The Clippers, you would think they'll be better, but they're not, because Doc just can't get the right system. And I think this year he's kind of implementing the right system with enough ball movement. But if you look at the Warriors and you look at the Cavaliers, their core has been there. So that's why it just seems like they're too good. And then you add Durant to the mix. It feels like, oh, wow, like I don't want to watch the regular season. But that's false, man. That's false. Because if you look at it, Warriors aren't on top of their division. And if you look at the Cavaliers, they are on top, but it's not like they're too good. Like, they've had close games, and they have trouble against certain teams. It's not like smooth sailing like how everybody wants to put it. They're not just coasting to the regular season just to get to the finals. Matter of fact, they know that it's not promised. That's why they're resting LeBron James early. That's why the Warriors are kind of like watching their minutes and they're doing these weird rotations. If you look at the Warriors, they could beat every team every night by 20. And most of their victories have come by 20. But the thing is, it's like they're still games. They're still competitive. It's not like they're scoring 80 points a half every single night. It's just like people just don't understand the circumstances. And you got to understand that's very dangerous when you're thinking about basketball. Because if you're thinking a team is too good to play another team or too good to get beat by another team, just think about this. The Los Angeles Lakers back in like 04, 05, they went up against the Pistons, Detroit Pistons. Pistons were scoring like 70 points a game, like averaging like 70 points a game. And the Lakers lost to them. You see what I'm saying? The Miami Heat, Dwayne Wade, Chris Bosh, LeBron James, they lost to the Dallas Mavericks when they could have went up 2 games to 1 or whatever, 2 games to none, and the Mavericks had like a great 20-point comeback. So anything can happen. The same thing with the Cavs. The Cavs were down 3 games to 1, and they proceeded to win 3 straight, and they won the championship last year. And take it back 2 years ago, Cavaliers were up 2-1, and they had a chance to close Game 4 out on their court. LeBron was playing like crazy. Game 4, if you don't remember, the Cavaliers jumped out to like a 10-point lead or something. Steve Kerr called timeout right away because he felt like the series was slipping out of his hands. And that little timeout and adjustments, Warriors came storming back, won that game, and proceeded to win 2 more and win the championships. So it's not like teams are invincible. Like, get that out of your mind. The games still have to be played. Injuries still can happen. You never know. Like, a player could go through a shooting slump. Like, I think people are overreacting because Kevin Love had 8 threes and Durant and the Warriors are shooting like 50-something%. Yeah, they're shooting 50% because it's the regular season. Like, teams are still trying to figure each other out. They don't see each other. It's not like you're locked in a series. You might play Charlotte one night, then you fly to Portland the next night. Then you go to Houston the next night. Then you're in New York. Like think about Portland's trip. Like Portland had to play. They played. Who did they play? They played the Knicks. Then they traveled down to Cleveland. You know what I'm saying? So it's like a crazy road trip. Lakers, they traveling here, then they going here. The being on the road and the back-to-backs, this is what's contributing to this overreaction. Like the Cavs and the Warriors have really been catching a lot of teams right in their pocket. Like as a shooter, they call it the shooter's pocket. Like they've been catching them like, okay, you're tired, you're coming off a back-to-back, your defense is already bad. We're gonna just blow you out. You know what I'm saying? If you ever watch some of their games, you can kind of see like where they just keep trying to score. Let's just keep scoring because we know eventually their defense can't keep up with us, or we know eventually they're gonna get tired. We know Dame, he can score 40 tonight, but he can't score 60, 50. He can't keep up with the pace, and that's all it is. No need to overreact. No need to think these teams are way too good, because if they were way too good, they would be scoring 100 points in a half or 80 points every single half, and they would be undefeated. Are the Cavs undefeated? No. Are the Golden State Warriors undefeated? No. So if they're both not undefeated, they're not too good to be in the NBA. They're not too good for the regular season. People are saying like it's a foregone conclusion. How? It's 82 games. Anything can happen. Like last year, Cleveland almost damn near had us scared. They gave up 2 straight to the Toronto Raptors at home. Even though like I never really thought that the Toronto Raptors would give them like comp. They did. And that's what you got to understand. Like things like that happen. Think about the Warriors last year. They lost Stephen Curry halfway through, right in the middle, like in the beginning, in the crux of their playoff run. And think about the Portland Trailblazers. Portland, if they figured out a few things and got some better play, they could have actually came out of that series. Because, like I said, it's the NBA. Anything can happen. Clippers lost that year to Portland. Guess why? Chris Paul broke his hand. Blake Griffin messed up his knee. So there's no telling what can happen. So I think we do take the regular season for granted, and I think these guys are just everybody's overreacting. Stephen A. Smith, everybody ESPN, they're overreacting. Oh, these guys are shooting 50-something%. In the NBA, in the regular season, everybody shoots 50-some-odd%, 40%. Everybody's good in the regular season. When it comes to the postseason, that's when legends are made. That's when contracts are signed. People get their contract for what they did, because that's when we separate the boys from the men. And Cleveland and Golden State Warriors have a lot of people that separate boys from men. Do you see what I'm saying? But let's not overreact. Like, let's call it what it is. You know what I'm saying? Because I guarantee you, if Cleveland comes off a back-to-back and the guys aren't feeling well, they're going to lose a game by 20. Same thing with the Warriors. If they're coming off a back-to-back and, some team that they blew out earlier this season has been resting and waiting for them, they're going to get all they can handle, and they probably will lose that game. So let's just not overreact. You know what I'm saying? They lost to the Spurs by 20, first game out. So they're not invincible. They're not too good. It's just that the numbers are somewhat inflated, and it's the regular season. Like, regular season is meant for experimenting. It's meant for playoff MVP races. This is what the regular season is about. It's meant to be entertaining, and so far it's been a pretty entertaining regular season. Like, I thought that we would only be focusing on the Warriors and the Cavs, but that's not the case. Like, Clippers are playing good ball. Spurs are playing pretty good ball. Lakers are playing good. All the teams that you think would just be like horrible, like you would think they'd just be awful. Knicks are playing good ball. They're 500 basketball. So Lakers 500 basketball. Grizzlies are pretty solid. Charlotte's pretty good. Like, Pacers are pretty. Like, this league, like the Bulls are good. A lot of teams are playing pretty well, and this is like beginning of the season. Like, you have a lot of storylines. I'm even watching Pelicans games. You're kind of watching the Wolves have been disappointing. So you're getting like a nice sample size. So although you have the Cavs, which are a super team, they're like, people are saying that they're not a big three. Like, yes, you are. You have 3 franchise players. LeBron James, franchise player. Kyrie Irving, franchise player. Kevin Love, franchise player. If you don't think he's a franchise player, why don't you ask the Timberwolves what he was doing over there? All right, see what I'm saying? So same thing with the Golden State Warriors, super team. So they're just like a super team, super team squared. You know what I'm saying? So if you think about it like that, man, you would think that the only games we would want to watch are those two. But every game, most of the games have been entertaining. And, we're just getting great stuff from Russell Westbrook, getting great stuff from Harden. Damian Lillard's playing extremely well, even though Portland's been taking a couple losses. So the regular season has been compelling. It's been great to watch, and I think we need to stop overreacting. We will see if these teams are too good if they sweep through the NBA playoffs, which nobody has done. The closest that has come to it is Kobe and Shaq. They lost one game. And that's when Iverson came up in there and was stepping over Tyronn Lue, had like 43, 44 points that night. So that was an NBA Finals. They were like a crazy number, like 12-1 or something ridiculous. So they're not too good. If anything, that Laker team was too good. See what I'm saying? So let's just relax. Let's pump our brakes. These teams are not too good. It's just that right now, they're head and shoulders above everybody else, and they've had a favorable schedule. Like Cleveland has had a ton of home games. The Warriors went on the road, and they really took care of business on the road, but they was catching a lot of teams on back-to-backs. See what I'm saying? So let's call a spade a spade. Let's see who the opponents are that they're blowing out, scoring 80 on. If they're playing the team that's ranked 28 in defense, of course they're going to get a high number. They're going to get a high number. That goes without saying. You know what I'm saying? Cavs, they feast on teams that play bad defense. That's nothing. Like, Warriors are the same way. Like, oh, you're not going to guard me? Bang, right in your face. Here's a three. Here's another three. Klay Thompson hits a three. Then Draymond Green hits a three. So let's relax. Let's see how it is halfway through the season. If it's halfway through the season and both of these teams only have 2 losses or they have less than 5 losses, then you could make the case that they're too good. But that's not going to be the case. If every half they're scoring 80 points, then we can say they're too good. But right now, they're not too good. They're just, right now, they're coming out on a fast start. They want to prove themselves, they want to show and prove, and they want to have good habits for the postseason. And that's what great teams do. They start early so they got good habits later. And the bad teams, they just start out bad. This is Vlad from Hoops Junction, where Hoops meets Hoopla. Peace.